it's supposed to feel.
What is up, people? It is Neil and Doug here to recap another Pirates loss. Pirates lose 10-1 in another unwatchable game in every sense of the word. And I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of positive things to say. So, Doug, do you have anything you'd like to start us off with?
We had two good innings out of Ortiz, I think. Jose Hernandez is still somewhat impressing me. I know we put some guys on today, but he is we don't have to hide him. He is a viable bullpen pitcher. Beyond that, no. We can't hit. We can't field. If Brian Reynolds is not hitting, this team, and of course that's going to happen, it's baseball. This team just doesn't have a dynamic lineup without Cruz.
Yep. So I guess let's start with Luis Ortiz because he was the big news called up to replace the injured Vince Velasquez. And a lot of people, including myself, wanted him on the opening day roster. And I think that Ortiz didn't have his best stuff, but he was also completely screwed by our defense.
Yeah. I think the baseball gods are toying with us. How many times do we have a shortstop have one go off the tip of his glove? It just seems like they're saying, you have a 6'7" shortstop who would have caught that at his shoulder. But no, not today, my friends. I mean, it seems like every game we have three of those. But yeah, I mean, Ortiz, he didn't give up any hard contact. It was fielder's choice, walk, error, single, infield, right, off the tip of the glove. I mean, I don't want to judge him too harshly on this. He was looking okay. It was a terrible inning. He contributed to it. I mean, he gave up hits. It would have been nice for him to strike somebody out or induce a ground ball double play, that sort of thing. But we're not supporting our starting pitchers very well. We're not giving them runs. We're not playing clean defense behind them. We're not making the basic plays. It's hard to win like that. We can't. We're not going to get a 2-0 complete game Mitch Keller shutout every day. Sadly.
Yeah. About to say we're in dire straits if we have to resort to complete game shutouts to win. We're kind of in dire straits. Luis Ortiz get hit hard a little bit. StatCast says he has 9 hard hit balls against him, but I mean, he got the outs that he needed to get. The biggest criticism I would have is just that he wasn't getting strikeouts.
Right.
And he wasn't missing bats. That was my big takeaway. But I mean, in terms of pitching, he got 2 double play balls in that collapse inning that gave him 4 runs.
Right.
One went off one went off Elias Diaz's hand. The other one, Ji-Hwan Bae forgot what defense is for the 25th time this year.
Right.
And just I cannot.
Isn't it stunning? How do guys get to the major leagues? He was a shortstop through much of his minor league career. He's obviously a very athletic, talented guy. But it's the same issue I have with Castro. Like, these guys, do they have any focus at all? They're just they field the grounder and then it's like they have no idea what to do. And they're very athletic, very talented players. And just, all this upside, and just every game, something, well, even in the games when they do something great, there's some sort of, why'd he do that? How come he,
Well, I think it's because I was going to talk about this when we get to the offense, but I feel like the defense is a fine example as this. Is like we are rostering a bunch of people who have absolutely no business being on a major league team. Chris Owens, Miguel Andujar, Josh Palacios, G1 Bay, Tucupita Marcano, Austin Hedges. There's not 6 position players that would not make any serious roster in the big leagues this season. They would not touch the field. They would be AAA depth. And the fact that we have 6 position players right now that can't hit, can't play defense, and have about 0 baseball IQ among the 6 of them is infuriating because we want to be a serious team. The front office said we are trying this year.
It is a little frustrating.
And giving starts to Josh Palacios and Tucupita Marcano. And I'm sure they're very nice men, and I would probably enjoy having a beer with them. They cannot be on this team.
Yeah, and what makes it all that, or some of it at least, much more frustrating is Henry Davis had 2 home runs tonight. We couldn't use a little of that. He was the number 1 overall pick. He was a college player. Yes, he did get derailed by some injuries last year, but it seems like he's on track. And I mean, we have no dynamic bats in this lineup other than Brian Reynolds.
Yeah.
And it's, you go, hey, Brian Hayes gets on, great. Brian Reynolds maybe does something. And then you've got, 3 guys that are a little slightly above average and can give good at bats and maybe draw a walk, maybe drive in a run, that sort of thing. But we're back to that, what we've been to for the whole Cherington era, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, nothing. And it's hard, like I said, you throw an Endy and a Henry Davis in this, and I know this is a post-game show, and we should probably stick more to the game, but we need bats. And it seems like we have some, but instead, I'm not even going to argue that much with Hedges. Hedges has, again, as a backup catcher, I mean, Hedges could be on a major league roster. I have no issue with him as a backup catcher. But yeah, some of these other guys, you can't have that many, right? A 26-man situation, fine. If Chris Owens is the 26th man and just comes in and just makes, stable, consistent plays when the 1 time a week he starts, fine. But I think he's going to get a lot of starts. And I mean, we're just, my whole life you were taught that teams built up the middle. You had to have a good defensive catcher, good defensive middle infielders, and a good defensive center fielder. And we're not really built up the middle right now. It's frightening every time a grounder up the middle. And what should be just a simple, common, everyday play. We're like, will they make the play? Will they throw to the right base?
We have seen 3+ years of Ben Cherington, and Ben Cherington has acquired a single person who can play corner outfield and middle infield. That is one, and that is Jack Suwinski. Right. And Jack Suwinski,
and I'm not so sure of that.
Where he is either the best player in baseball or he joins those 6 guys I just mentioned. And right now he's with the 6 guys. But I mean, Jack Suwinski belongs on the major league roster. I don't want to say that he doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
It is an indictment that we cannot sign anyone in our middle infield or on the corner outfield from our farm who can come up and play even halfway decent. I understand why someone like G1 Bay is on the roster, but I am tired of him costing us runs every single time he's out there in the field. It's right. The defense. Right. The defense is the most frustrating part of all this.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, I'm from that 70s, defense first. I know the bat will play, but you've got to be able to make the basic fundamental play. You don't have to be Gold Glove. Field a grounder, throw to first base. Field a grounder, flip to second base. It shouldn't be that hard. Hard. It's very frustrating. It was great when they were all hot. That's not going to happen much with those guys. It's not, right? I mean, Reynolds will get hot. Sawinski will get hot. I believe Castro is going to have, moments of being hot. Of course, again, if nothing else from Connor Joe, Santana, and McCutchen, you're going to get really good at bats, and those do impact the game. I mean, they're going to get on base. They're going to hit the ball hard sometimes, and but it's, again, if you can navigate through our top five, you have a really good chance of just cruising through the next inning and a half, right? Just easy. When Sawinski's on, you can't. It's great, but those seem to be small stretches to me.
So I guess we can close the bookmark. For the first start of the year, even if it's against a Rockies team that Luis Ortiz should be carving up, I think, he did fine. He was not great, but he gave you every opportunity to win the game. And so your first start out of the minors, I think that's fine. But let's move on to the offense. So,
okay, show's over
because we've been tracking this in our Discord.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, we're moving.
5 for 51 with runners in scoring position in the month of May.
That's dreadful.
That's
dreadful. That there's no major league team should have that. It shouldn't be possible. 5 for 51.
We were overperforming in April.
Absolutely.
By hitting 300 with runners in scoring position. I cannot believe how fast we fell off.
Yeah, the regression to the mean was a little overwhelming there, right?
Yeah.
You said I didn't expect 300, but okay, drop down to 220 for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, not less than 100.
Not 100.
I think Greg Brownson on the podcast is like 091 in the past 7 games. And I think that's the even more frustrating thing is because you had the Rays series where you kept getting in those situations where you could have hit runs in. Then the Blue Jays series happens, and we didn't have any opportunities. We just got demolished. And then this series, it's we've had opportunities, but when you are down 5-1 and you load the bases, you got to score runs.
You got to score something. You got to get right.
And we talked about this a lot on the post-game shows in the month of April about how we weren't striking out, how our plate discipline was good, how we were making smart outs, sac flies, situational hitting. We weren't always hitting hits, but we were driving in runs.
No, the small ball was great. Yeah, we would get a guy on. Right, we'd get him over.
We were falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
everyone is striking out.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, it started in Colorado too. Remember those first couple innings were it was 8 straight hits or 8 straight productive at bats to get in 2 or 3 runs. And now, we just swinging away. It doesn't seem like anyone has a plan going up there. And again, it seems like, the league got a month of tape on us. They've made some adjustments and we're still sticking with, our plan. We haven't punched back yet.
And of course, you have guys like Connor Joe, Andrew McCutchen, Rodolfo Castro. They were never going to be 900 OPS players.
Right.
But my word, it has just been depressing to watch. It's not just everyone, because here's what will happen. Brian Hayes, who's actually been hitting pretty well, I think he's collected 8 or so hits in the past 4 or 5 games. He's been getting on base, and then we squander it every time. And we had one hit with runner scoring position. McCutchen drives in Hayes. So you make the matter even worse. The 5 for 51. One of those hits didn't even move the runner from second to third. That is how bad we have been with situational hitting. And this comment is insane to me. That this is the first time since 1988 we've gone 9 straight games with less than 2 or less runs scored. Right. Think about all the bad Pirates teams.
We've had 400 or 500 lost teams in that time frame.
So offense has been atrocious. I guess we can talk specific players. McCutchen had a good game. RBI, walk, hit. He hit the ball hard twice.
Not a good day for Reynolds.
Yeah. Reynolds, got one hit.
Yeah.
A little late.
And we're down 10-1, and yeah. Okay.
Brian Hayes walked, got a hit, got a double today. He's still hitting a lot of singles, but the bat is heating up. But then you look at the rest of that lineup from Carlos Santana to through Ji-Hwan Bae, one hit.
Yeah. And that's 4 hitters, right? That's 4. Yeah.
5.
Okay, 5. Yeah. So 20 at bats, 1. Yeah. You're not going to win any games. I mean, again, Ortiz could have pitched a gem today. He could have went 7 and given up 2, and he would have lost. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, I want him to pitch better. But the culprit right now, and the culprit really throughout the losing streak has been the hitting. It's been easy to blame the bullpen and look at starting pitching, but it didn't matter. None of those things, even the fielding, which has been an issue. None of it matters if they can't score more than 2 runs.
Yep.
And they haven't done that since the doubleheader in Washington. That's a long stretch.
It's been really rough, and it's not like we've been facing world beaters. Like the last 3 games we faced UC Kikuchi, Connor Siebold, and Kyle Freeland.
Yeah.
3 runs.
Right.
And we could not get anything going against their bullpen. We let Pirates legend Nick Mears close us out like it was easy.
Oh yeah, breeze through it, right? Yeah. It was like Mariano Rivera.
So the one thing I will say is, because we also talked about this a lot in the month of April, and pretty much after the Justice De Los Santos article came out about veteran leadership and getting through those hard times and those tough losses, what is going on? Because there is no veteran leadership as far as I can see. There's no urgency. There's no no one for being the spark plug.
Right. They're not panicking, right? Which is great. But yeah, we could use a little fire now. Someone needs to overturn a table or some of those old because that's not Shelton style. It's not Kutcher style. I'm not that sure about Santana. I'm not as familiar with his leadership as I am, but it's I'm still there. We go. There's some work to be done, and at this point, I don't care if it's a grizzled old veteran. I don't care if it's Jack Sawinski. I don't care. We need somebody. We need somebody to spark this thing. We need a 3-4 hit night from somebody. It just comes up every time. Doesn't and just rakes. Get a little going. We needed to get contagious. It just seems like we've gone into this little cold funk, and everybody's caught on. And I don't know. I don't really understand what's happening. I don't understand the lack of adjustment. And this was my biggest fear coming to the offseason, because it looked like we sort of all penciled in all these guys that were 200 to 220 hitters to this year they're not going to be that. And they're a little better. Sawinski and Castro are a little better than that, but not on a consistent basis. Brian Hayes is starting to heat up, and that's a good thing. You guys should go out and should check out the Bridge to Bucktober podcast from yesterday. They did a great breakdown on Brian Hayes and his improvement. And, because I was like, his exit velocity, we've been here for 3 years. He hits the ball hard. I'm kind of getting tired of advanced metrics and no production. But he's improving on his hard hits from last year even. And so maybe it's that time. I've decided to withhold judgment on the bulk of these guys until the end of the year. But every time I say I'm not sure on Jack Sawinski, he goes on a Aaron Judge stretch, and then I say, okay, I believe, I buy in, and he goes 0 for 18. So so Hayes, Sawinski, Castro, Bay, all of them. Okay, you've got the year, But if it's another year of at the end of the year you've hit 220, your OPS is 675, and it's time just to acknowledge some facts. So
yeah, and I mean, it is fair to say that injuries have really done us in, because you could tell in April this team was built to platoon. It was built to where Castro didn't have to play every day. Joe didn't have to play every day. Suwinski could be a platoon bat. You could eat having Hedges being the worst hitter in baseball because you kept switching guys in and out and putting them in the best positions for them to be good at hitting. And you're really starting to see that when you throw Suwinski, when you throw Castro, and when you throw guys like Marcano and Santana in there every single day, they don't have what this team needs. They need to have a nice platoon that can keep them in the best possible position for them to succeed.
Right. The Connor Joe Sawinski platoon sounds great to me.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them playing every day. It seems like that's not going to work as effectively. So, and I understand they both look better than they did, last year and seasons past, that sort of thing. But it doesn't seem like it's that much better. And I don't know. I mean, well, I do know what the solution is. Bring up Andy and Henry Davis.
Yep.
I mean, really, or go acquire some. Okay, if you don't want to bring those guys up, you want to manipulate all that nonsense, which I don't understand why we need to manipulate this. Bring them up and then extend them. If they're not good enough to extend, then who cares if we have an extra year control? If they're good enough, extend them. Then why are we worried about 5 years down the road? This team is in first place. We'll be in first place. I mean, I know the Dodgers were beating Milwaukee 4-0. I imagine this team will be in first place tomorrow. None of us expected that at this point in May. You have a chance when the division is terrible. Do something. Improve the team. You've got a lot of guys down there. You've got a lot of depth that clearly none of it's ready for major leagues. But
what makes it even worse is that, like Jim says here, is that it's not about the extra year of control.
No, that's what I mean. It's about money.
It's about saving arbitration money.
Right.
So
extend them and get over it, right? Yeah. That's an easy problem to solve. Bob Nutting has said this only the first step. Where if Henry Davis and Andy Rodriguez, after their arbitration is up, aren't good enough to extend, then who cares, right? If they are, extend them. Again, it's not about having another year of control. It's only about dollars and cents. And come on, it's ridiculous. You have a chance to win this division. The Pirates have never won the National League Central. I want them to win a National League Central. It's going to go away soon. They're going to realign.
Yep.
I don't want to play 30 years in the National League Central and never have had just one division title. One little silly banner to put up, to just waste an opportunity. This division's not that good. You still have every opportunity to win this division.
I think the moral of the story is that Moneyball and its consequences have been a disaster for baseball as a whole.
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Well, I mean, it's terrible. Like the Mets are bad and Tampa is good. So, you're like, oh, so look, spending, those who are fans of not having a salary cap or whatever, every year there's a bad team or a low payroll team that does well. And there's a bunch of high payroll teams that fail miserably. So that argument is, it's there every single year. But again, it's not a level playing field. And I love the advanced metrics. When I was a kid, I always thought assigning a win or a loss to a pitcher was stupid. I mean, it just didn't make any sense, especially if the starter doesn't go 4 innings, and then the next guy. I mean, it's just weird how they would do it. That didn't make sense. It was so dependent on other people. RBI. Oh, he's a great RBI guy. Well, you can't be a great RBI guy unless guys get on base. So I loved when they came up with more specific metrics. However, I don't like how they 100% rely on them. Information is great. Use it properly. And that's what they don't seem to do.
I'm a huge analytics guy. Not gonna lie though, with our runners in scoring position right now, I'll just take some pure batting RBI guys.
Right. Some clutch guys. Some guys.
I'll embrace my inner boomer for the moment and just want guys who will drive in runs.
Right, guys that are clutch. They have the clutch gene. Right.
All right. So I think we talked a lot about the offense. It's been the problem for a week, for 8 straight games. Cannot score. cannot do anything right. Do you? I guess we can move on to the bullpen. First, Jose Hernandez. Once again, does his job, does it very well. Gives up 1 run, but that's also because Dwayne Underwood Jr. is terrible. But anything you want to chime about Jose Hernandez? I just think he's been a really nice addition.
I mentioned earlier, that's a great pickup because I don't think he was on anybody's radar when they put out the list of best available Rule 5 guys. He wasn't on anybody's list, and he is making a positive contribution to this team. We don't have to hide him like they remember with Oviedo. I mean, we'd be in a 10-1 game and they would not pitch Oviedo. They had no confidence in that kid at all. I don't understand why they picked him. They it just made no sense. And then they immediately let him go. So it really made no sense to roster him for the whole season. But no, he's been good. I don't know that he's going to pitch in the 7th and 8th inning this year, but if he keeps doing what he's doing and the way they're using him, it's especially as the only left-hander on the team, it's a good thing to have. I like what he's doing. Yeah, Underwood had a bad night. I don't want to get too down on him. He's been pretty solid this year. They're all going to have bad nights. He had a bad night, and again, we weren't going to score more than 1 run, so it didn't really.
Yeah,
his bad night didn't seem to.
It
just made it uglier.
He can be a victim of getting hard hit. Not tonight, though. 0 hard hits. And a rare walk, because one of the most impressive things about him is that he just doesn't walk players. And one of the biggest things that we were worried about was his control.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's he's been good, but there's even room for improvement.
That was his 3rd of the season, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable for a guy who did not have control in AA.
Yeah. So I'm very happy. And then we can talk about the man of the hour, Dwayne Underwood Jr. because he was terrible tonight. Yes,
he was. But like I said, I'm not going to be – he had a bad outing. He's been decent this year. I think his ERA coming in was 2.30. I mean, that's not horrible. They seem to be using him pretty well. He had a bad night on a team full of players that had a bad night. So,
yeah, my biggest issue, and it's always been my issue with Dwayne, is that he can limit soft contact, but he is always prone to getting base runners on base. And as a reliever, when you continue to do that, you are going to struggle really hard. And as a reliever, I mean, he doesn't strike enough people out so that he gets enough balls be put in play. Some of them are just going to sneak through. And then when you have your bad nights, sometimes it blows up like this. So
we see it. The Pirates see this all the time, and not just him, with a bunch of our pitchers. You walk a guy and you give up a soft single, and then a little bloop falls, and then on and on and on. It kills you. And then we sort of say, well, he never really, and we do this with our starters, we do it with our relievers. He didn't give up any hard hit balls, but he gave up 7 hits in a row. They were all soft hits, but they're all infield singles. But at some point, you got to be able to rear back and strike somebody out.
Yeah,
you got to, as a reliever in particular, especially again later innings. If you're pitching in the 7th and 8th inning, sometimes you just got to, I'm just throwing it down the middle, and you're not going to be able to touch it. And
on a more serious team, I would say Dwayne Underwood Jr. is someone you can have as he's maybe at best a 7th inning guy.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, sixth inning, 7th inning. I think he's fine in that role.
I would rather give Jose Hernandez high leverage situations though at this point.
I would too. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, I would feel comfortable with Hernandez stepping up his, leverage situation, because he's done a couple of times. He's done well in what was somewhat high leverage situations.
Yeah.
They're bringing him along nicely. And again, he's got some good stuff, and he's not walking people. And as long as he's not walking people, he can be very effective.
Yep. And finally, we have 2 guys I'm kind of lumping together: Johan Ramirez, Robert Stevenson, both pitching innings scoreless. Both have very good ERAs, but I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with them, just because they haven't really pitched in a whole lot of like meaningful innings.
Stevenson has had a few. He's
Stevenson's
pitched.
had a few.
Yeah,
Johan's
yeah.
had none.
Johan's not really
Yeah.
no, but I mean, since we brought Johan back up, we haven't had a lot of meaningful opportunities. He hasn't been up that long. I mean, I tell you, it is amazing some of the strikes, some of the swings and misses he gets.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff, it is a foot off the plate by the time it gets caught. And they're swinging after it's in the glove. It's in the mid. It's something. So,
yeah.
I mean, hopefully he can keep doing it, build up his confidence, and you know, maybe we can use him more effectively down the road.
I really like the idea of Johan Ramirez. His stuff is filthy. I don't know if he's quite there mentally, but yeah, you're talking about working him along. Like I'm perfectly fine with how he's been used, and get his confidence up, get his fastball working, get that slider working. That, you know, it has people missing at a foot off the plate. Like there is a pitcher there. Like I'm more convinced that this bullpen's future is with people like Stevenson and Ramirez and Hernandez, as opposed to guys like Will Crow, Dwayne Underwood Jr., and so on and so forth.
Right, absolutely. I mean, it'd be really nice to, you know, a year down the road, 2 years, that it's you know, Johan Ramirez, Jose Hernandez, Holderman, Stevenson, and then finish up with Bednar. I mean, that gives you options. You don't have to use Holderman exclusively, you know, the 8th inning. He can take a night off, you know, that sort of thing, because you can count on, say, Stevenson or Hernandez or somebody to come in and do that. That means you can give, you know, Bednar, someone else can, you know, Holderman can maybe jump back and take a save opportunity occasionally. It just gives you more flexibility, because you don't, in those situations, I mean, again, there is places in bullpens for guys like Underwood and Crow, but it's in the 5th and 6th inning, is, you know, on a really good team. So I'm not ready to run anybody out of town, but I want people again, much like the platoons, put people in the best position to succeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we touched upon about everything that we would want to talk about or didn't want to talk about with this game.
There is no player of the game, so
yes.
we're not. I'm sorry, I know, but no player of the game.
They all get sent home without dinner. But if it means anything to people, because we talked about Henry Davis, Ben Cherington was at the game tonight. He saw him hit 2 home runs. If you see Ben Cherington in public, please boo him for me. But hopefully this means that the wheels are in motion to get Davis out of AA, because he has absolutely no business being there.
He's not. That's this is actually too for him. He challenges to continue his development. It's time to sort out. If you're not going to both of them, sort of a, you know, catcher, DH, whatever, you need to decide who's going to be, and then where the other guy is. So I'm a catcher. Henry Davis has got the big catcher. It looks robo. Get bad umpiring, home plate umpiring has been this year. Robo umps might be here by July, and so, you know, I say my internet, Alabama. We got a storm here, Jim. We got a storm, and I'm in 1942, so the internet here.
Well, unfortunately, before the storm takes out Doug's internet entirely, I think it's best if we get out of here. So, fingers crossed. Say your prayers. Henry Davis is in Pittsburgh tomorrow. I know it won't happen, but please let it be so. But with that, I don't know who will be on tomorrow afternoon to recap the series finale, but hopefully whoever it is, we recap a win. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope
the series to win tomorrow.
Have a very nice and blessed night.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video, and subscribe to the page. It helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.